What is going on? What's going on, my comfort killers? This is Vinny Rodriguez, known as 8-Figure Vision. Guys, I'm here today to share with you the next in our vast book series for everyone out there who's looking to get uncomfortable today. You looking to get uncomfortable? I'm gonna make you super uncomfortable, just like this book, guys. This book, right? Who wants to be a king? Who wants to be a queen? This book will teach you how. This is the King of Capital. It's a story, it's a chronicle of the ultra wealthy, the ultra capitalists of this country. It talks specifically, so the authors of this book, David Carey and John Morris, these authors, they chronicle the story of Blackstone, right? Blackstone, which was started by Steve Schwarzman. And guys, this book is hefty. It's a hefty book. I mean, there's money on like every single page. This is like a multi-billion-dollar book. Like, those of you who have that uncomfortable dream of like, man, I want to make $1 billion. Well, you want to make $1 billion, you got to think like a multi-billion-dollar man or like a multi-billion-dollar woman. Because what these guys were able to accomplish here is like moving mountains, I swear to you over here. I'm just reading the book in awe the entire time. I'm just gonna give you guys one specific chapter that sums everything up as far as what this book will teach you when you're competing at the top, right? How tight things become when you're competing amongst the top of the top, the cream of the crop, right? Where it's only a handful of people that are that wealthy. It's interesting because the guy Schwarzman, he's involved in the finance game since the beginning, right? And he got involved in JP Morgan. He partnered up with he started to partner up with an individual who, you know, together they banded and they created Blackstone. The purpose of Blackstone, it's a private equity firm, right? So what they do is they actually they can buy companies and they can sell it for stock, they can sell it for assets of any sort. And so these private equity firms, they were big in the 80s and the 90s, even going into the late 2000s in the new millennium, they were huge, right? And we're talking, each of these companies had a valuation of over we're talking over 10 figures, some of these companies, and Blackstone was able to achieve that. In fact, Blackstone, the interesting thing that I saw in this chapter was, it really shows like, if you want to be a success is not how many years that you got. Success is not how old you are, right? How much experience you have. Success is, you know, your grit and your might and your strength. Because you'll learn while you read this book. Mr. Schwarzman, his competitor, Blackstone's competitor, was KRR. And KRR, they were running the game for decades, right? There was a time where they had so much success, they had so much valuation that the CEO, he actually kind of took a break. He took a stint for a while. But Blackstone, they sort of rised above it. And you know, so this company, KRR, they were running the game, right? And while they were running the game and they were at the top, they took that for granted. You see, guys, you can never let no one take you for granted, especially when you're in a highly competitive situation, right? Where everyone's watching you, you got the watchful eye on you. You have governments, right? Global governments, right? Blackstone, they had the Chinese government involved in their valuation, right? You have just the top investors, the top like political candidates. You have all of these people who are watching your every single move. Anytime you publish a budget, Blackstone, they actually found a way. They're slick. They found a way to and I'm rambling a little bit here, but there's just so much going on. Blackstone, what they did was they created a privacy agreement when they decided to go public and announce their IPO. That is where they were able to gain a competitive advantage over KKR. Sorry, it wasn't KR, it's KKR. So they were able to gain an advantage over them, and in fact, they were able to grow to a valuation of over $10 billion in assets after their IPO. That gave them a stronger advantage over Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs that has had the strongest and the strongest reputation in the investment firm industry for over a century, and Blackstone was able to overcome that. And the way that they would do that, guys, is all of the meetings that they had, the private meetings they had, the strategies, they had to tweak things so many times. Now, not everything in here was ethical, mind you, right? I'm a proponent for ethics in business at all times, right? Ethics above profits every single time. But what happened in here is that a lot of this game was finding the loopholes. It was finding, negotiating. Sometimes when they decided to sell a stock or they decided to sell a company, right, it was in certain conditions and meeting certain terms. So I would dare to ask you the same question as an entrepreneur, as a professional, or someone in your career. How often are you finding ways to negotiate your business to increase profitability or increase sustainability or perhaps longevity? See, these are the important elements of maintaining a profession, a job, a career, or business long term. So I guess my question to you guys would be, how often are you on the negotiating table? Are you being creative and you're analyzing your competitor, right? And you're finding new ways to totally break through the market and create a totally new animal. Because Blackstone, what they were able to do in the private equity, as a private equity firm, they were able to establish a new way, right, to put value into real estate. They were able to, even though they actually were part of the bailouts and all of these other things, right, the reason why they stood ahead of the game was because they saw the entire picture. See, so that's my next question to you. How often do you see the entire picture in your profession? Maybe not get enough clients, maybe not, enough people walking through your door, right? Or maybe, maybe this business is stagnated, right? Every time you go to work, it's kind of mundane. Well, how often is your company really thinking the entire picture? You see, Blackstone, they thought the entire picture. That's why they was always able to get ahead, and they were always able to grow further, right? That is key. They looked at the political scene and how that impacted their business, right? And they were able to find a way through to sustain themselves over the longer term. They looked at the financial scene, their competitors in their own industry. They were able to look at their own budgets. They looked internally, right? They looked at Peterson, who was one of their major stockholders for over 30 years, and realizing that he was approaching 80 years and what was the most effective way to retire him, right? So come to find out that Schwarzman actually profited greatly from that because he ended up getting 30% of the shares. It's a devious game, guys. Devious. If you want to play at the top, you got to be able to put your ethics out there and at the same time do it 24 hours a day, making sure that you're always ethical, but at the same time making sure that you can beat the competition that might not be so ethical. They might not play as clean. They play dirty. They play dirty in this game. You see, so how do you stay on top, or how do you get to the top when you got all these dirty players? This all trying to get a stake, all trying to beat each other out of the game, right? Well, part of it is really seeing the entire picture. That's my greatest takeaway from this, guys. You guys want to get uncomfortable, this book will get you uncomfortable. This book is going to get you to start thinking about the entire picture, how very minute the details can get, and how many ways that you could really start chasing that purpose that you have. So I'm gonna leave you guys with this again. This is Vinny Rodriguez. I'm known to many as 8-Figure Vision. Look me up on Instagram, guys. On behalf of everyone in the Comfort Killers group and Stacy Cross, thank you guys for having me here, and I'm gonna check you out on the next of our vast book series coming to you, Comfort Killers. Talk to you soon, and we out. Wow.